Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Daily Squeeze. Took a little bit of a break there last week, had some traveling woes, and I was also in Orlando visiting with the Stockfather and Lear Dog, getting some content and some live trades done for you guys. But we are back at the home office, and yeah, welcome back to the Daily Squeeze. Monday, January the 22nd. Stocks finished mostly green with the small caps leading the way up 2.14%. The SPY also eked out a new lifetime high, as well as the Qs. Bitcoin took a little bit of a tumble today, breaking below 40K, but still holding for now. Some interesting news with Western Digital, as Morgan Stanley names it as its top pick semiconductor, which is pretty fascinating, knocking off NVIDIA. Overall, pretty interesting day. We had some good day trades, 4 for 4 on the day. We also took some profits on some swings with Disney, Google, Microsoft. They just keep on winning. So let's get into it. I'm Brian Farr, lead stock analyst with the Stock Dads. This is the Daily Squeeze. All right, jumping into a few things, looking here at the IWM, a nice little wedge breakout today as the IWM takes on the lead, up 2.14% on the day as yields continue to move lower. The IWM has definitely been the laggard here within the main market as the Magnificent Seven pretty much takes complete and utter control. But things are starting to get a little bit interesting. We are starting to get into heavier earnings season here with the market this week as we got big names here from Netflix and Tesla. As well as a bunch of the industrials reporting this week. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on as far as the earnings calendar goes. We also have some key economic data this week as far as GDP and PCE data that will definitely be a highlight for the week towards the later part of this week. So we definitely want to continue to focus in on what the macroeconomic data is pointing to. But as of right now, the market does seem to want to discount all the negative news and just focusing in on all the positives going on right now. And as these Magnificent Seven names continue to push higher, it does bring in the question on, how are these names going to stand up to their earnings reports? Are they are we doing the run up before earnings? Microsoft hit a high of 400. NVIDIA opened up above 600 this morning. And yeah, I think that definitely bodes a pretty interesting question is, are these names too high for their valuations? And I think it's going to be important to see how well this past quarter's guidance, this past earnings report is going to be, as well as the guidance. But yeah, some interesting news as far as the semiconductors go. Western Digital getting a nice little upgrade by Morgan Stanley this morning. It is a top pick within their semiconductors, and believe it or not, they're picking this over NVIDIA. And yeah, definitely a pretty big move here by Western Digital. 52-week highs, still far away off of its all-time highs at around the 78 mark. So it's still got some progress to be made. So definitely something to keep an eye on. It does have earnings coming up, but I think the key thing here today has definitely been the Russell 2000 getting a nice little push up today. Let's see. We also have a pretty interesting watch here on Tesla. Tesla does have earnings coming up on Wednesday after the bell. They are holding on to a technical level of support around 205, but if we happen to lose 205, this thing can easily drop below the 200 level. 200 will be a psychological spot, but once we move below this, we can see that 193.17 is going to be the next key spot. Momentum is looking pretty rough here, and we know that there's been a slowdown within the EV market, but Tesla, they did report some good numbers. They hit their targets on their deliveries for their December numbers. So it's going to be a complete curveball when it comes to their earnings. We definitely want to see how they issue their guidance coming in on Wednesday. There is a 6% plus or minus move here on Tesla. There was a pretty decent sized call buyer that paid a hefty price, about $7 on the debit, for some 220 calls, I do believe, for February. So, well, for this week. So we definitely want to pay attention to that. All these names that are reporting this week, their options chain are definitely juiced up. So Netflix is definitely crazy expensive this week. Tesla's also in that same boat. So definitely want to pay attention to Tesla. You also have Netflix, who is hanging out at a key level. It just can't seem to shake this 485 level. It's not breaking down. It's not breaking up either. And we know Netflix is kind of the head honcho as far as the streaming services goes. So yeah, just hanging around that 485 mark. Netflix is expecting a plus or minus 37-point move as far as their earnings goes. So we'll definitely have to pay attention. These are going to be the first two names in the Magnificent Seven to report their earnings. So definitely don't want to sleep on these guys this week. We did snag some pretty sweet profits today. Disney, we took the 90 call last week for a nice little swing. You had this nice little breakout above the key moving averages. You have also held that daily 200 as dynamic support at about the 89.60 level. We broke out, even had this little bit of a retest, and then off we launched and held structure. Momentum signals were looking pretty good, so we went ahead and bought some contracts there. We took those off for full profit because they did hit our overall target. We took those from $5.10 all the way to $6.90, so a nice 35% win there on Disney. Our current other swing, though, is in Pepsi. I'm looking for some downside on Pepsi. We haven't quite broke the 164 level. That is definitely the key spot as far as Pepsi goes, but I am looking at a momentum move to the downside here if we can break the 164 level. If we break 164, we're headed towards 162 and 3/4, and then I have my fib extension targets down here at about the 161 and 160 mark. So definitely keep an eye on Pepsi. XLY sector in general, with consumer staples, XLP continues to look a little bit more on the bear side compared to the rest of the market. So I definitely want to keep an eye on that. But overall, market continues to be pretty good. If we look at the MAGS, which is the MAGS 7 ETF, it did print a new lifetime here at 35. Big talk today with Bitcoin dropping and, well, holding that 40K level. As we can see here on the chart. Remember a few weeks ago, we talked about once this Bitcoin ETF, spot ETFs get approved, how's that going to, shake things up? And as we can see, it has been a sell the news event, and Bitcoin has tumbled off the highs of about 49 back down below 40K. If we lose 40K and momentum continues to shift downward, then yeah, I'm looking at a move all the way back down to about 35K and even 32,000 as far as Bitcoin. Of course, the big players there to follow that is MSTR. Master MicroStrategy continues to get whacked here, closing another low here today. If it continues to falter and lose that 450 level, then we can easily see 400 on MSTR. So that is definitely something that I want to pay attention to in the coming days. Burt B is one setup to the long side that I am paying attention to. Burt B was a favorite of mine last year. Looks like we are setting things back up. I'm just looking for a break above 369 so we can get a nice little push to fresh lifetime highs at 373.34. So keeping an eye on Berkshire here in the next few days. McDonald's fresh new lifetime highs, hit a high of 302, but there are earnings coming up. I would like to see this cool off a little bit, maybe see how it handles this 300 level and then go from here. So definitely want to keep an eye on McDonald's and also want to keep an eye on AppLovin, APP. Looking for a break above 45. This might need a little bit longer to set up, but it's looking pretty good so far. But all in all, a pretty good day in general. Great profits. Like I said, we took some day trades today with SPY, Meta, and let's see, we did SPY again, and then we took profits on several swings, Google, Microsoft, and even Disney. But lots of action to go through. We got plenty of other analysts out there who have some great positions on the table, so keep an eye on those. So overall, let's keep at it. As far as tomorrow goes, we got pre-market earnings from Verizon, 3M, GE, RTX, Johnson and Johnson, Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, Procter and Gamble. A lot of big names. Dr. Horton, DHI is another one. I mean, look at this chart. This thing's just home builder lifetime highs, just keeps on pushing higher, 157.93 at the high. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. And then, of course, after the close tomorrow, you have earnings from Netflix, Texas Instruments, Baker Hughes. So yeah, definitely going to be keeping an eye on. Oh, and Steel Dynamics, STLD is another one to keep an eye on for materials. So yeah, all eyes on Netflix tomorrow. You got some pretty interesting players tomorrow morning before the bell. Lots to keep track of, but we'll keep you on the right path. Like I said, my name is Brian Farr. This is the Daily Squeeze. I appreciate you. Feel free to check us out at StockDaz. Use the link below, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take care.